To understand what dangerous new territory actually means, you have to start not with a temperature, but with a death toll. In June of 2024, in the holy city of Mecca, during the annual Hajj pilgrimage, more than 1,300 people died. Not over a year, over a matter of days. They did not die in a stampede, or a fire, or an attack. They died from heat. And when scientists went back afterward and reconstructed the exact conditions those pilgrims endured, they found something that should stop you cold. For a cumulative total of 43 hours across the 6 days of the pilgrimage, the outdoor environment in and around Mecca exceeded the limit of what a human body can survive. Not dangerous, not extreme, past the line. Past the point at which a person, any person, can shed heat fast enough to stay alive. That is what dangerous new territory means. It does not mean a scary number on a weather app. It means a place where the air itself crossed the threshold of survivability, and 1,300 human beings died as a direct result. And the researchers who studied it did not describe it as a freak event, or a one-time tragedy. They described it, in print, as, quote, just the start. This video is about the region where extreme heat has stopped being a projection about the future and become a present mass casualty reality. It is happening right now, this summer, across a vast and densely populated part of the world. And Dubai, for reasons that are not what you would assume, sits at the very center of it. Let me show you what is actually going on, and why the honest version is both more complicated and more alarming than the headlines. Start with right now, because this is not history. As this is being made, the Middle East is in the grip of a heat wave that began in the middle of May 2026 and is forecast to last the entire summer. And the key word is not hot. The key word is sustained. This is not a spike that passes in a day or two. Across Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Oman, and Qatar, temperatures have settled in consistently above 38 degrees Celsius, that is 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and are frequently pushing past 49 degrees, 120 Fahrenheit, day after day after day. The specifics are staggering. In Kuwait, the city of Jarrah recorded 8 consecutive days with maximum temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius. And here is the part that matters even more than the daytime peak. During that same stretch, the nighttime lows sometimes did not fall below 35 degrees. The nights are supposed to be the recovery. The window when a body sheds the heat it accumulated during the day. When the night stays above 35 degrees, that window never opens, and the heat load simply compounds, day into night into the next day. Iran's National Meteorological Organization issued a rare public alert, urging citizens to conserve electricity and water. In Iran and Iraq, government offices closed. Power grids failed under the strain of everyone running their air conditioning at once. Hospitals filled. This is the backdrop. An entire region, hundreds of millions of people living through a months-long siege of heat, right now. And the first thing to understand is that this is genuinely regional. It is not one city, and it is not even just the Gulf. It stretches across an enormous, heavily populated arc of the map. In Iran, the city of Ahvaz has become one of the hottest inhabited places on the entire planet, repeatedly climbing above 50 degrees. And in the summer of 2025, more than 12 Iranian weather stations recorded temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius in a single 24-hour period. In Iraq, Baghdad has hit 50 degrees with chronic cascading power cuts. Kuwait has recorded temperatures near its national record of around 54 degrees. Saudi Arabia, as we have seen, hit 51.8 degrees at the Grand Mosque in Mecca. Oman, Qatar, the Emirates, all of it, part of the same vast oven. And there is one fact that frames everything else. One number that tells you why this region and not another. The Middle East is warming nearly twice as fast as the global average. Twice as fast. This is not simply a hot part of the world getting a bad summer. It is the leading edge of global heating, warming faster than almost anywhere else on Earth that large numbers of human beings actually live. When people talk about the future of a warming planet in the abstract, they are describing, in the present tense, the Middle East. So why this region? Why is it warming so fast? And why is the danger so acute along the Gulf in particular? The answer, especially for the coast, comes down to water. Specifically, the sea. You would think dry desert heat would be the deadliest kind, but it is actually the opposite, and understanding why is the key to this entire story. In a truly dry desert, even at astonishing air temperatures, your body has a powerful defense: sweat. Your sweat evaporates off your skin, and evaporation pulls heat away and cools you. As long as the air is dry enough to accept that moisture, a hydrated person can survive heat that sounds impossible. But that defense has one absolute requirement, and it is humidity. If the air is already saturated with water, your sweat cannot evaporate. It just runs off you, useless, and your one cooling system shuts down. Now look at the Persian Gulf. It is a shallow, enclosed body of warm water, and under the relentless summer sun, it evaporates into the coastal air and loads it with humidity. So the cities along the Gulf get the desert's heat and the sea's humidity at the same time, stacked together, which is the exact combination that kills. This is precisely why climate scientists identified the Persian Gulf, years ago, as the first region on Earth projected to cross the threshold of human survivability. And here is the genuinely new and frightening development: the humidity is spreading inland. Even historically bone-dry places are getting more humid as the world warms. During that deadly 2024 Hajj in Mecca, a city that in June normally sits at around 25% humidity, the humidity rose as high as 75% during the worst of the heat. The dry heat safety margin, the thing that has always made desert life survivable, is eroding. Which brings us back to that threshold, and to the specific, measurable moment the region crossed it. The measure that actually matters for human survival is not the plain air temperature. It is the wet bulb temperature, which combines heat and humidity into a single number that reflects what your body can actually withstand. For years, the science held that the absolute ceiling was a wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees, above which a healthy person in the shade with water would die within hours. More recent research, testing real people rather than theory, has found the true limit is even lower, closer to 31 degrees, and lower still for the elderly and the sick. For a long time, that threshold was a projection, a warning about decades from now. The 2024 Hajj is the moment it stopped being theoretical and became a body count. Researchers at the University of Western Australia analyzed the precise heat and humidity conditions across the 6 days of the pilgrimage, and their findings are among the starkest in the entire field. The survivability limit for the human body was breached, in total, for 43 hours. For older adults, it was breached on every single one of the 6 days, including 4 separate stretches lasting more than 6 hours each. And on the most extreme day, June the 18th, the humid heat reached levels considered dangerous even for young, healthy people. The temperature at the Grand Mosque hit 51.8 degrees. Over 2,700 cases of heat exhaustion were recorded in a single day, and more than 1,300 people died. This is not a region approaching a line. It is a region that has already demonstrably crossed it with mass casualties, and the crossing is now on the record. But the Hajj is not only a tragedy. It is a warning, and it reveals, with brutal precision, exactly who extreme heat kills. Because those 1,300 deaths were not random, and they were not evenly distributed among the pilgrims. Of the roughly 1,300 who died, about 83% were unauthorized pilgrims, people who had come to Mecca without official permits. And that status was, quite literally, the difference between life and death, because it determined access to cooling. The registered authorized pilgrims had air-conditioned tents, cooled transport between the holy sites, and hotels they could retreat to. The unauthorized pilgrims had none of that. They walked miles between the rituals in 49-degree heat, in direct sun, with no shelter and nowhere to cool down. Over 660 of them were from Egypt alone. The people inside the cooled facilities largely survived. The people out in the raw air died by the hundreds. Read that carefully, because it is the entire future of extreme heat written in a single event. The heat does not kill everyone. It kills the people who cannot get to cooling. Survival became a function of a permit, a hotel room, a working air conditioner. Same city, same days, same sun. Two completely different outcomes, sorted entirely by access. That is the pattern, and once you see it in Mecca, you will see it everywhere the heat goes. So now we can finally address the claim in the title. Dubai is ground zero. And here is where I have to be honest with you, because the honest version is more interesting than the obvious one. Dubai is not the hottest place in the Middle East. It is not close. Kuwait, Iran, and Iraq all routinely record higher air temperatures than Dubai does. Dubai's actual air temperature in a bad heat wave sits in the mid-40s, while inland Iran and Iraq push past 50. So in what sense is Dubai ground zero? In two senses, and both are real. First, Dubai sits directly on the Gulf Coast, inside that humidity trap, which means it experiences the deadly heat plus humidity combination that dry inland cities are partially spared. Dubai's feels like temperature, the number that reflects what the heat does to a body, has climbed into the 60s. But the second reason is the important one. Dubai is ground zero because it is the test case that the entire world is watching. It is the wealthiest, most visible, most aggressively engineered city in the region, the place that has thrown more money and more technology at defeating the heat than anywhere else on the planet. Dubai is the experiment. If it is possible for human beings to simply engineer their way through this, to build an air-conditioned civilization that shrugs off a climate crossing the survivability line, then Dubai is where it will be proven. And that is exactly why it matters. The rest of the region is watching Dubai to find out whether even unlimited money is enough. Dubai is ground zero for the spectacle. But the dying, as the Hajj just showed us, happens where the money is not. And that is the deepest and most uncomfortable truth about this whole crisis. The same heat wave produces two completely different realities across the Middle East. And the thing that divides them is wealth. In Dubai and in the rich Gulf capitals, life continues in near total climate control. A person can move from a cooled apartment to a cooled car to a cooled mall the size of a town and rarely feel the actual air of the place they live in. It is an indoor civilization, and for the people inside it, the 50-degree day outside is a number on a phone. But travel to Iraq, where the summer heat has hit 52 degrees, and you find a completely different world. There, only wealthier residents have access to 24-hour cooling. The power grid fails constantly, sometimes for many hours a day, exactly when the heat is at its worst. And ordinary people cope however they can, standing under roadside showers rigged up in the street just to bring their body temperature down, crowding into the few public buildings that still have power. In Iran, it is much the same. So across this one region, the exact same air temperature is a minor inconvenience for some and a lethal threat for others. And the only thing separating them is money and a functioning electrical grid. As the heat intensifies, that dividing line stops being about comfort and becomes the line between who lives and who dies. And the overwhelming majority of the hundreds of millions of people in the Middle East do not have Dubai's cooling. The heat is coming for all of them, and only some of them have a cooled room to retreat to. There is one more layer to this, and it is a bitter one. The Middle East is warming nearly twice as fast as the rest of the world, and it is also increasingly. one of the engines of that warming. The region's economy is built almost entirely on oil and gas, and its carbon emissions have risen to the point where, taken together, the countries of the Middle East now produce roughly as much carbon dioxide as the entire European Union. So the region finds itself in a genuinely tragic position. It is simultaneously the leading edge of the heat catastrophe and a major contributor to the fossil fuel burning that drives it. The place being hit first and hardest is also, in part, helping to light the fire. Now, I want to be fair and honest about where this goes, because the truth is not the simplest doom story. This is not a claim that the Middle East becomes uninhabitable next year, or that Dubai empties out. The wealthy Gulf states have vast resources and are adapting with real seriousness. After the 2024 disaster, Saudi Arabia overhauled its heat management systems for the Hajj, adding cooling, shade, and misting on a massive scale. The Emirates keeps engineering new defenses. Air conditioning, desalination, built shade, cooling centers. These are real tools, and they save real lives, and they will save more. The region is not going to be abandoned. The wealthy parts of it will very likely remain livable artificially for a long time. But that is precisely the point, and it is the honest heart of this whole thing. The Middle East is the place on Earth where the gap between the people who can afford to survive extreme heat and the people who cannot is the widest, and the most lethal, and where the environment has already, provably, crossed the line that kills. The question is no longer whether the region can survive the heat in some abstract sense. The wealthy parts can, behind glass, on machines. The real question, the one the Hajj answered in the most painful way possible, is how many of the region's people can survive it, and which ones. So here is what dangerous new territory actually means, all of it, in one place. It means the Middle East is the first densely populated region on Earth where extreme heat has stopped being a forecast and become a present mass casualty reality, where the survivability threshold was breached for 43 hours and 1,300 people died, where the nights no longer cool down, where the humidity is rising even in the deep desert, and where the very same heat that a wealthy city air conditions into a roomer is killing the poor a few hundred miles to the east. Dubai is ground zero as the experiment, the richest and most determined attempt to prove the heat can be beaten by engineering. The Hajj was ground zero as the warning, the proof of exactly what happens where it cannot. So picture the two images that hold this entire story, both of them true, both of them happening this summer, in the same region under the same sun. In Dubai, cool air spills out of a shopping mall's automatic glass doors into a 45-degree afternoon, and an entire indoor civilization hums along inside, cooled and lit and comfortable, as if the lethal desert a few feet away on the other side of the glass were something happening to someone else, somewhere else. And in Mecca, or in Baghdad, or in Ahvaz, a person stands in the full open sun with no cooled place to go, in air that the science now tells us can kill a healthy human body within hours. The same region, the same summer, the same sun overhead. One of them is safe, and one of them is not, and the line between them, the thin line of money and power and a working air conditioner, is growing sharper and more absolute with every degree the temperature climbs. The heat that just entered dangerous new territory did not enter it evenly. It came